Hi, I'm Scott Curlin from WCAT, and I'm here with Cameron Caristo. How are you, Cameron?
I'm doing pretty good.
So, what are we doing today? We're going to just talk music?
Yep, talk music.
That's what we do on this show. We're going to talk music to you guys.
Yep.
So, Cameron, people at home have no idea how knowledgeable you are with music. So, why don't we explain to them your genius?
I don't jump on the bandwagon with everybody. I kind of like music for the sake of liking it and not just liking something because everyone else likes it. My favorite bands consist of Black Sabbath, Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin, Jimi Hendrix, Sepultura, Black Flag.
With the Grammys coming up and also the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction, you and I were talking. You felt like some people were snubbed even in the past, even like throughout the whole history of the Grammys, people have been snubbed and forgotten about. And did you want to talk about that? Like, you have this brilliant plan for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Why don't you talk to the audience about what you think they should do? Because this was a great idea.
A lot of these artists that are in there, like Aretha Franklin, Stevie Wonder, I think, is in there.
Yep. The OJs.
I think, to be honest with you, they're great, very talented musicians. But what I would do if I was in charge of that place is I would take those out and I would put them where they properly belong.
Like a Motown Hall of Fame.
In Motown Hall of Fame, Soul Hall of Fame, you know.
So do you not agree with Tom Waits being in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Because, I mean, he does, like, beat poetry, but he also, I mean, Orphans is a very rock-heavy album.
Well, the way I see it is that, like, say, for example, if somebody does, like, something on stage where they, like, have props or something to make it look like they're a rock star, or if they do a rock sort of album, even though they may have done that, like Eddie Van Halen collaborated with Michael Jackson, still his overall genre wasn't really rock and roll. I don't really think that Michael Jackson should really be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I really think that he should be in his own place, probably the Pop Hall of Fame. They should have it. You know, for when
basically, you're saying that everyone should have their own Hall of Fame. It shouldn't just be the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because it's limiting.
Yes, because
right.
People aren't really there are a lot of people who aren't put in the right place. Like, if Rage Against the Machine, for example, one of my favorite all-time bands, if they were put in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I could definitely agree with that. They do show hip-hop influences like Africa Bambaataa and other musicians like that. And another thing, too, is with the Beastie Boys, too. When they started out, a lot of people don't really know this, but they were actually a punk band before they started out with rap. They were a hardcore punk band when they started, but they kind of got more influenced by rap. And in the 90s, people were mixing rap with a lot of different genres, like Everlast.
You're not referring to like when Aerosmith and Run DMC?
Not really. That was just a collaboration. That wasn't really their overall sound. And just like Anthrax with Bring the Noise with Public Enemy, that wasn't really their overall sound. That was an experimentation, which I love in music. I don't want it to be all the same thing. I like experimentation, you know.
What if they called it the Music Hall of Fame instead of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Well,
or do you think rock and roll needs to have its own place and then maybe a Music Hall of Fame?
Well, maybe, yes. I would say it probably should have its own place. Like, I don't really... I think that there really should be a Motown Hall of Fame.
There really should be. But it should be in Detroit, not Cleveland, Ohio. Like...
It really should be. Like, that would be like if you put the Southern Rock Hall of Fame in Alaska. That wouldn't make any sense.
But
Like,
Motown was found in Detroit.
yeah.
Rock and roll was actually found in Cleveland, Ohio,
Yeah.
because of Buddy Holly. So it should be where these things,
Yeah.
like in Nashville Hall of Fame, or that should be
Yes,
like
that-
Elvis and blues and Muddy Waters.
Yes. Blues was definitely a huge thing in Nashville.
And Carl Perkins, like all
Yeah.
of that.
Definitely a huge thing in there. There's no doubt about that. And another thing that is probably one of my favorite genres of music is punk rock.
Oh, yeah,
with
mine
the
too.
with the early punk rock when it was great. Like, I like some pop punk like Green Day. They're probably really one of the best punk. One of the bands that I really like.
They are
like,
pop punk, like New Found Glory and Blink-182.
Yeah. Like, some of their old stuff wasn't bad, but I'm not a huge fan of this newest stuff that they've been putting out. But my favorite punk bands are the Ramones, the Clash, the Sex Pistols.
Yep, I love the Clash.
Black
Janie Jones.
Flag is one of my favorite punk bands. That's definitely my favorite hardcore punk band. I mean,
Henry
probably-
Rollins, one of the only guys who transitioned from being in a punk band
I
to
know.
an actor to a comedian, back to an actor, back to a musician.
I know. I see Henry Rollins is a pretty intelligent person.
Oh, he is smart as a whip. He's one of the smartest guys living.
He is a very intelligent person. I mean, I love his music of Black Flag. I would say probably my favorite Black Flag song is probably TV Party. I like
mine
that
too.
for comedy. But also I like when people have like comedy in their music, but are also able to take it seriously. Like, they don't just do it. Like, I don't mind if people are doing music, like, having a good time with that, but I don't really like it when it's just made to be a joke or something like that.
I mean, Eminem early in his career, you thought he was just a joke rap artist like the Bloodhound Gang or stuff like that. But then he proved that he is a brilliant lyricist, and he is a great, rhymer, and his lyrics are very moving. So he got past the whole comedy aspect of being a musician, which I think that is really great. I mean, the Beatles, when they first came out, they thought it was just a teeny bopper band for girls, and no one knew that they could write an album like Revolver or Abbey Road.
I know.
And look at them.
I know, they became one of the biggest musical acts, too, and the Rolling Stones became one of the biggest acts.
Do you know what the Rolling Stones got their name from?
They got their name from the Muddy Waters song, The Rolling Stones.
Yep.
That came out in 1955.
Do you remember who released it?
I forget who released it off the tip.
RCA.
Yeah.
Yep. So, yeah, I mean, so much great music. Oh, what I wanted to ask you is, how do you feel about Paul McCartney? He is now in a band with Dave Grohl.
Well, I don't really mind it. Like, I know that
I think it's cool.
It's pretty good that they're doing that. I believe it's called Them Crooked Vultures.
No, that's with Led Zeppelin.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It's just called Paul and His Friends.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but that's pretty amazing, because if you think about it, it's a way of them uniting basically my dad's age group of music, which was the Beatles and like Bruce Springsteen and them, with my favorite. I mean, the Foo Fighters are one of my favorite bands.
Yeah, there's no doubt that Dave Grohl is a very talented musician in my eyes. I see him. He's a really good musician, and I really don't think he gets enough credit for what he does.
I mean, he is a documentarian. His new movie came out last year, Sound City, about the history of the recording studio Sound City, which closed last year. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, that closed last
March.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was sad, because it started the careers of Blondie and all of them.
I know.
But can you name all 4 bands that Dave Grohl is currently in right now?
Well, I know he's in Them Crooked Vulture. He's in the Foo Fighters.
Mhm.
He's in. I know that he's with Paul and Friends. That I forget what the fourth one is.
Queens of the Stone Age.
Oh yeah, that's right.
He's their drummer.
Why didn't I think of that? I even got the album Queens of the Stone Age.
How do you feel about where they're going? What direction?
So for the Deaf, I believe that Songs for the Deaf is their best album.
It really is, and
I mean, songs like Hanging Tree, No One Knows, which really was their breakthrough single. That's really what got them popular, that song. I mean...
that song came out when I was in high school.
That came out in 2002.
Yep, that was
the first single off that album. And I really liked that album.
Well, I bring that up because if it came out in 2002, that means in 10 years they could get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, or the Music Hall of Fame as we're calling it. And do you think they could get in on their first try like Nirvana did?
Well, I don't really, I really wish that they would get in, but I don't really think that they are. I know that Queens of the Stone Age started in 1995, and it was after Josh Holmes. Sorry.
It's no problem.
Left Caius, and the first release was the Caius and Queens of the Stone Age split EP. That was Caius.
Well, Caius was a different sounding group.
Yeah,
Caius was more of a punk sounding.
It was also a little bit of metal
too.
But, and I would say that Queens of the Stone Age started in about 1995, and they were originally called Gamma Ray, but they wanted to avoid lawsuit because they found out that there was a German metal band.
Yeah, there is a German
band.
metal band named Gamma Ray.
They started in around '89, I believe. Gamma Ray. Yeah, they started '89.
They were that whole craze right before grunge started.
Yeah.
They were on that bandwagon that Metallica started in 1979, which brings me up to what you and I were talking about with the Grammys. And what happened to Metallica in 1979?
88.
88. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Oh, no.
Metallica didn't even start in '79.
I know.
They started in '81. Well, I thought that it was kind of ridiculous that they won because, Jethro Tull's Crest of an Ave won in 1988, and I know Metallica was upset about it, and I thought that it was ridiculous that they won because, well, first of all, Jethro Tull that song wasn't even metal. It was more of a hard rock blues thing. And not only that, Jethro Tull weren't even really a metal band to begin with.
Yeah,
they were more blues and hard rock influenced.
Right, they were on that Allman Brothers cusp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was songs like Bungle in the Jungle. It's things like that. That's was their best material. I didn't really like...
What about Thick as a Brick?
Thick as a Brick was pretty good, too.
If you've ever seen the CD, it's
Locomotive
just one track. So, yeah.
Yeah, I know the CD is a long one-track thing.
Yeah, that's Thick as a Brick.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the people at home can relate more to us. Basically, what we're talking about is if, say, the Beatles were nominated for a Grammy for Abbey Road and the Monkees won instead. Like, how mad would you be if that happened? How mad would you be if the Monkees beat the Beatles?
Well, the Monkees were okay, but I think that the Beatles should definitely win. I mean, if you look at their album, they're a better band than the Monkees by far.
And the Monkees was actually based on, they tried to make a TV show out of A Hard Day's Night, the movie, but the Beatles couldn't do it because contractually they were obligated to the BBC and to record in London to do a bunch more albums. So what American audiences did is producers, I believe it was Sheldon Leonard, decided to create a TV show, and that's where the Monkees came from. Monkees, Beatles, neither one is spelt the same way as the actual. Yeah, that's the whole joke. But actually, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band came out at the same time that the Monkees' first album came out, Meet the Monkees, and the Beatles annihilated. As a musician, you're buying your first guitar.
Yes, it's gonna be a Dean ML. It was the guitar that that was used by the Pantera guitarist.
Oh, nice.
And he fitted a Floyd Rose tremolo on it. I think, to be honest with you, he was one of the best guitar players. Daryl Abbott, or Diamond Daryl, known as in his early days.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's got to be exciting, man.
It is. I mean, he was just one of the greatest guitarists of all time, no doubt.
Besides Diamond Daryl, who would you say are amongst the greatest guitarists of all time?
Jimi Hendrix, Eddie Van Halen, Steve Vai, Joe Satriani. Let me think. Another great guitarist is Tom Morello.
What about Stevie Ray Vaughan?
He was the best blues guitarist, I would say, in my opinion. I mean, he had so much passion and so much soul put into it. And I know he was highly inspired by Jimi Hendrix. I believe after he heard his first album, Are You Experienced, in 1967, I believe that's when he started in his career, and that's really when he started to start with it.
Well, it's amazing how musicians can influence other musicians, because
I know.
Jimi Hendrix influenced Stevie Ray Vaughan, but you know who Stevie Ray Vaughan influenced?
Jeff Buckley.
How'd you feel about Jeff Buckley? I think he's one of the greatest musicians ever.
I think so, too. You know who else is a great guitarist who doesn't get enough credit? Ian Moore.
Ian Moore is a fantastic guitarist.
He does not get enough credit for what he did. I mean, songs like Harlem, Not in Vain. I mean, those songs are such great songs.
Do you want to explain to the audience on your camera who Ian Moore is?
Well, Ian Moore was a guitarist that was born in August of 1968, and he started his career, I believe, in 1993. That's really when he got his start, and then he released his debut album in 1994 of the same name. Actually, wait, it was 93, I believe, when he released it. With songs, Grab My Attention was Harlem. The other songs grabbed my attention, but that song just, with the guitar riff in the front and just the whole song itself, that just really exemplifies.
There are certain songs that really inspire people,
yeah.
And basically, are you a fan of Blur and Pulp? And like I've been, my generation, which is like mid to late 90s to early 2000.
Yeah.
I grew up on Blur and Pulp and all of that British alternative pop, rock.
Yeah, when it started, the Britpop era,
It was Brit rock alternative.
Yeah.
I mean,
when it kind of started to go, bands like Oasis started to form.
Oh, please. Oasis, they were good, but bands like Pulp and James.
Blur beats Oasis by a long shot to me. I mean, this only song people really know by them is Song 2.
Yeah, but there were so many great ones. I mean, if people want to get a great education on how amazing alternative British music was, just a crash course by, have you heard the World's End soundtrack?
Yes, I believe.
Yeah, from the new Simon Pegg movie that came out a few months ago. It's one of the best albums of the year. It's nominated for a Grammy for Best Compilation Album, I believe, for a movie soundtrack, and it should win because you got You got Blur, Pulp, James, Sisters of Mercy, like Primal Scream.
They really had their best years in the 90s, did that without a doubt. I would say that I like probably Blur the best out of
Blur.
all of them.
I was always a Pulp fan because of Jarvis Cocker and his lyrics. So, yeah.
Yeah. I'm also a big thrash metal fan, too.
Thrash metal.
And also with the my favorite thrash bands are the big four: Metallica, Megadeth, Anthrax, and Slayer. Sepultura kind of when the 90s started and grunge sort of came in, the bands that were really getting the most popularity was Pantera.
Yeah.
But I like them because they're not.
They're not in your face.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, on that note, we are reaching the end of the show, but don't worry because Cameron will be back with more episodes, and so will I. So, basically, next time, what would you like to talk about, Cameron?
I would like to talk about grunge. Get more on the subject of groove metal which is basically post thrash and rap metal too.
So next time we will be talking about grunge, groove metal, and rap metal. So tune in next time.
And there's a lot more that's gonna be on the show.
Oh yeah, we have plenty of time to talk, my friend. We have an entire year.
I'll be talking a lot about many different genres, and it's not gonna stop. It's gonna be conversations about music.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Cameron. I will see you next time, my friend.
All right.
Stay tuned.
Okay.